So today's topic of musical philosophical conversation is affect. Affect is a concept that dates back to at least the 17th century and the philosopher Spinoza. I know it through Gilles Deleuze. I believe Nietzsche also talked about it at some point. I pronounce it as affect to distinguish it from effect. Everyone knows about effect, cause and effect. You do something, this other thing happens. Affect is far more mysterious and therefore interesting. In musical terms, I'd like to give a musical example. Think about when you first heard something that profoundly changed your opinions of and your interactions with music. For myself, I can think back to Chick Corea's Spain. A good friend of mine lent me a cassette copy of, it was Walkman Classics, if anyone remembers those. It was Chick Corea with various musicians, a lot of Return to Forever stuff. And Spain really stuck out. And it stuck out for me because I thought it was a complete row. Just noise, which seems unbelievable to me now because, you know, it's such a beautiful melody, it's such an amazing performance. But when I first heard it, I had this very visceral kind of reaction to it. I thought it was pure noise, and I listened all the way through just because the friend that had lent it to me was a really cool guy, still is, and I was like, well, if he likes it, you know, there must be something good about it. And it kind of grew on me, and eventually I really got into it. And I'm a professional jazz musician, you know, so of course I know Spain. I've played it countless times myself. But what I'm interested in is that initial reaction. Something happened that day when I was 14 years old and I listened to Chick Corea's Spain. That is affect. I was struck by something. Roland Barthes talks about punctum, something that kind of pierces the fabric of your experience, your knowledge experience up to that point, and has some kind of strange affect, a strange effect on you. Affect is uncategorizable. At the point at which you categorize it, it becomes something else. What could I say about it? What have I already said about Chick Corea Spain? It's beautiful, it's magnificent, it's an epic performance. Everyone plays their socks off. But that initial reaction is affect. We experience this in live performance. We experience this in listening to recorded performance. What is it? What is this thing, affect? It will ever be mysterious. We can never categorize it. Immanuel Kant talked about the sublime. It is a sublime thing. This, what the hell is that kind of feeling when you hear something that you've not encountered before. And very often your first reaction is like, oh God, what's that? But then it'll grab you and kind of draw you in a kind of like, I was going to say a black hole kind of way, but I don't want to give like a negative sort of, you know, it tears you apart into your constituent molecules, atoms, and then you're distributed. It's something else. It's a very positive thing. You become more from your encounter with that particular thing. Now, affect, even though it catalyzes that experience, it moves on. It never gets involved. It's like this amazing kind of ghostly presence that moves through you, connects one person, in the case of the example, 14-year-old me, with this object of art, Chick Corea's Return to Forever, I believe, version of Spain, connects the two of us, and then its job is done. It carries on. It has no involvement. It operates on the plane of the virtual, to use some ideas from philosopher Gilles Deleuze, and also Brian Masumi, the philosopher and fellow Deleuzian. I'm a Deleuzian. The title of my PhD thesis is Rhythmicity and the Deleuzian. There's a subtitle, but the title is, Rhythmicity and the Deleuzian. The plane of the virtual exists like that. It interacts with the plane of the actual, but they never occupy each other's territory. There's a resonance. I like to think of two magnets. If you get two magnets and you put the north poles together and you feel that amazing resistance, but it's a resonance. You can, sure, if the magnets are not that strong, you can touch them together, but as soon as you release that pressure, they move apart again. They're not meant to be together. And the virtual and the actual are exactly like that as well. They influence one another, but they don't ever fully merge. Affect is on the plane of the virtual. The things that we know are on the plane of the actual. This lamp behind me, that's actual, right? This shirt is actual. These fingers are actual. Affect is virtual. All musicians know affect, even if they haven't given it that name before. It's that experience when you're live on stage and you're doing something. Maybe somebody plays a note, maybe somebody plays a wrong note, maybe you play a wrong note, maybe somebody coughs in the audience and it distracts your attention momentarily. Maybe it comes very often, especially if it's improvised music, it can become part of the performance. You can get something from that. The amount of times I played a wrong note and it's led down a really interesting path. But that first feeling of, oh God, I played a wrong note. That's that punctum, that affect. And it's what you do with it next that's the important thing. Do you go, oh, sorry guys, stop the gig, I played a wrong note. You're not going to do that, are you? Or do you work with it? And in the working with it is when, as a professional musician or expert performer or creative artist, however you want to frame it, that's the moment at which you encounter affect on the plane of the virtual. And what you do with it afterwards is your business, your profession, your art. That all happens on the plane of the actual. You act upon it. I think I'll leave it there, friends. Nice to see you all again. Stay safe. Goodbye and very best of luck.